Semitism row today after refusing to expel a member who claimed Adolf Hitler might be a Zionist god and Jews have big noses and they all support Spurs. Vicky Kirby was investigated by the party in 2014 after posting a number of anti-Semitic comments on Twitter, but not kicked out by Labour. Well, she's now been appointed Vice Chairman of Labour's Woking branch. Let's get a reaction from Wes Streeting, Labour MP for Ilford North. Wes, good evening.
Good evening.
I've seen a message from Jeremy Corbyn today saying that it's disgusting, the anti-Semitic tweet sent to your mental health spokeswoman, Luciana Berger. Why is no action being taken against this Vicky Kirby?
Well, it's really concerning, Ian, because this incident and the conduct of Ms Kirby was first identified back in, I believe, 2014, when it was investigated by the Labour Party.
And she was a parliamentary candidate at the time, wasn't she?
Yes, and she had to resign as a parliamentary candidate, and she was effectively given a warning and allowed to remain. And I simply can't understand how or why someone who has expressed these sorts of views has been allowed to remain a member of the Labour Party at all. This wasn't a one-off. It's not like, she said something and regretted it. These are a series of messages posted on social media over a number of years. And frankly, if this was any other form of racism, she would have been kicked out. And I can't understand why then, or indeed today, that is not happening.
Are you worried that there is a little bit of a problem for Labour in this area? Because we know that there's an anti-racism row going on at the Oxford University Labour Club. The chairman of that Labour Club resigned over what he considered to be anti-Semitism within some of the members. This doesn't seem to be a totally isolated incident.
No, and I think that's what's worrying lots of people. I mean, frankly, today I've had messages from party members who've cut up their membership cards. I've had constituents in Ilford North write to me asking what on earth is going on with the Labour Party. Is there still a place for Jews in the Labour Party? Why would Jewish people want to vote for the Labour Party? And the fact is that unless we show that we have zero tolerance towards anti-Semitism, as we would any other form of racism, it's a perfectly legitimate question. Now, it's worth pointing out that both in terms of the episode last week with a man who expressed a whole series of vile views, including anti-Semitic views, and Ms Kirby this week. These are decisions that haven't been taken by Jeremy Corbyn, but I think the challenge that now lands in Jeremy's in tray as leader of the Labour Party is that I think there are lots of Jewish people inside the Labour Party and across the country who are deeply concerned that Labour is seen as a soft touch on tackling anti-Semitism or looking the other way. And frankly, it's not just Jewish people. I am also concerned. Many of my colleagues are also concerned, and I think we need a really strong message from the top and also from colleagues right across the Labour Party.
But you're patently not getting that at the moment, are you?
Well, I think Jeremy really does need to be proactive at this stage. I've asked that Jeremy meets with Labour members of the All-Party Parliamentary Group Against Anti-Semitism, of which I'm Vice Chair. I'm actually in Berlin at the moment at an international conference on tackling anti-Semitism, and it feels, to be honest, pretty embarrassing being a British Labour Member of Parliament at this conference, given what seems to be a pretty poor approach to tackling anti-Semitism ourselves. So I think we really need to get our act together on this, because I think it is sending a very worrying message to Jewish Labour members and Jewish Labour voters and Jewish people, full stop. If, the main opposition party has got to take a zero-tolerance stance on tackling anti-Semitism as we would any other form of racism.
I mean, if this was UKIP, of course, Jeremy Corbyn, many people in the Labour Party would be having, many people in the press would be having an absolute field day with it, wouldn't they?
That's absolutely right, and we've got to apply the same standards to ourselves that we would anyone else, and that's really what I expect to happen at this stage. And as I said, this is a really big week it's a really good example. Actually, we've got a really big week ahead. The budget is the big issue. People want to see the party taking George Osborne to task and holding him to account as an effective opposition should. What's happening at the moment is not only hampering our ability to do that as the official opposition, it's also making the Labour Party incredibly weak on tackling anti-Semitism. And although Jeremy Corbyn didn't create these issues with the guy last week and with the woman this week, I think he's got to now just stamp on it as leader of the Labour Party and send, he sent a very strong message this morning about the treatment of my colleague Luciana Burgess, saying anti-Semitism has no place in society. And he's right. He now needs to send a very strong message that anti-Semitism has no place in the Labour Party.
All right, Wes, thank you very much indeed. That's Wes Streeting, Labour MP for Ilford North. After the news and